And welcome back to Miniature Dragon Comic Review, coming to you live from the home of Big Bad Microsoft, Kindle, and my Miniature Dragon Comics, Seattle, Washington. As always, I'm your host for the evening. Did something just fly off my Gorham ship? Daniel Doc Gentry, and back from avoiding peacekeepers in Moyar, comic guru for Miniature Dragon Studios, Alex. Two things before we get started, Alex. One, happy birthday to my daughter Victoria, though she might be too cool to watch this. I'll see if I can get it out there. And, of course, we hope that nothing bad comes of Woody being carjacked, as everybody can see.
It was bound to happen.
I'm so glad he finally took one for the team.
So, with him being carjacked, we got our episode to ourselves.
Yeah, so what are we going to do? We're really going to do what we're planning to do? I mean, we can do anything.
So, we'll probably do a little bit, and then go completely off topic. So, let's see where we go from here.
Us going off topic? Are you kidding me?
You know, it would be a first.
Yeah, right. Oh, it's very surprising these guys have gone off topic. They seem to be always on exactly where they need to be. First off, how you doing, Alex? We didn't get to that part.
I'm doing good. Definitely happy birthday to your daughter.
Yeah, I'm surprised she made it this far in life, to be honest with you. Especially with me as a father.
Hey, at least she didn't get carjacked.
Well, not yet.
Yeah.
But it took Woody, a long time.
Too bad we weren't able to get that on camera. He just had to do it today, and, before the show even started.
Right? That's what I'm thinking. I think it's on purpose.
Yeah.
But Woody did ask us to talk about one thing. That's what we're doing the whole episode on. That's Star Wars Han Solo. This graphic novel was released January 4th, 2017, last year. It's from Marvel. It's 108 pages. More importantly, it's written by Majori Liu. I think I'm saying that right. I'm sorry if I'm not. The art was Mark Brooks, but the cover art was Oliver Copiel. What I thought was interesting because it's the first time I've seen somebody different did the cover than who did the actual comic. Is that usual or?
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of times where somebody is just hired for the simple fact that they are a cover artist. Though there are a lot of comic books where you have the person that's actually doing this series that will do the cover too. I mean, it varies. I mean, there's a lot of times where I remember a lot of times with DC, they would have covers done by cover artists, and then the interior was so vastly different. And like, the covers were actually like some of the things where it's like I almost wanted to get it for the simple fact of like if that was the entire artwork.
Is this like Action Comics 1000 where they had different?
Yeah,
the different. But they really did. They had different covers for each, like a bunch of them, which I thought was interesting. It reminded me of when I buy books for D&D, how they have like the regular edition and then the special edition books.
Oh yeah. I gotta say, it's like this book, though, I did like how that there was some really just beautiful pieces that were almost like posters. Like between the chapters.
Yes. No, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say it's like, if you're not a Star Wars fan, this has still got like some just beautiful art in it. And it's like, just for that simple reason, if you're an art lover, it's like this is a book to definitely pick up.
So Keith from the now lost Bros and Dragons podcast, he's in the chat and he says, "Hey baby," so I gotta say, "Hey baby, back. Hey baby, how you doing?" I don't talk to those guys much anymore, so it's funny when they pop up. Yeah, no, you mentioned it. You hit it right on the head. The art in this graphic novel, it blew me away. I mean, some of it was really weird and, not forced. It just seemed different, which was cool. And then there were like shots of like the ships and hyperspace, like what's on the screen right now, where They put a lot of detail into it.
Oh, these are, I would say it's like people that really did their A game. They definitely did their research, and I felt like, you know, there was no phoning it in. This was like getting on top of their game, knowing the research, you know, probably taking a look at every single toy and like, you know, reference manual, you know, that they got for Star Wars, and maybe even Lego figures, and just like redrawing everything, you know, really nicely accurate.
Well, I don't know if it's on purpose, but at the very beginning of the Han Solo comic book, we find Han Solo in a bar, and he's leaning against the bar, and all I kept thinking was, wow, this looks a lot like a young Han Solo, like from the movie that just came out. And I don't know if they did that deliberately or not, but it was kind of funny to me to see that. Just for like, it's not very long, it's a couple of frames, and then it goes back to being the normal Han Solo, but...
Yeah, I got that feeling too of like, you know, I was almost thinking that it was going to be a tie-in with the new Solo movie, but it really definitely like picked up, and time period wise, I almost felt like it was kind of hard to place. Like, was it just right after New Hope?
Oh,
like
this
the story within number 4, movie 4.
I know why you say that.
Yeah, because it's like, where did this hit? Like, story wise, it was kind of a, it definitely did not feel like it was, you know, any part of Empire, because you know what goes on with that, and it was just enough of like, this could have happened, you know, somewhere between, I think, movie 4 and 5.
I did get the feeling, because it talked about how they did something and then he was going back to trying to be a smuggler. And he mentioned that in A New Hope, even though they agreed in medals, that they were leaving. They just did it for that, and then they were going to pay off Jabba. So that's, I agree with you 100%. It did feel like that's where it was with it. The story here, by the way, I just want to let everybody know, when I saw this was from Marvel, I rolled my eyes. And I was really, really worried because, well, I was 50-50, I'll be honest, because Darth Vader was so awesome, but I know that they've done some other stuff in the past that were
stinkers. Yeah,
and with them rewriting the canon of Star Wars, because directors have egos, I was really concerned what was going to happen with this. But I love the storyline. Han Solo feels like Han Solo in this. Chewie feels like Chewie. The other characters that are introduced that you've never met before really do feel like they've been part of the whole universe. And the ones that now I'm not going to give any spoilers, but ones that are introduced that Han and Chewie know, really feel like they've been part of it the whole time. Like, you're almost feeling dumb that you don't know who they are.
No, I totally get you. It's like, it felt like that level of the backstory with the characters that had interactions with Chewie and Han, you know, definitely did not feel forced. It felt like, okay, this is just part of their history, just a fact that we haven't seen yet through, you know, like the movies, or maybe like cartoons, or at least like my experience of like the comics that I have seen. Like, oh, okay, I could see this character existing, just I had no clue, like, you know, if this was like somebody, you know, in one of the other comic books, or, you know, some other type of media that has been done.
No, I know what you're saying. Again, you talk about the cartoons, and okay, I'm gonna stop, because this isn't rip on Star Wars time. This is us reviewing comic book. I'll just say it this way: stop fucking with the things I love. All right. The lettering in this, by the way, I wish Woody was here. That's his, you know, that's when he gets excited when I started mentioning lettering. Was really well done. They put a lot of time to make sure that the right people were saying the right things, and that they had enough that I like the ones where you're hearing somebody talk through the radio, because it really feels like that with the way they do the bubble. I haven't seen that yet. I don't know if they do that normally, but it really felt that way. It felt really fluid all the way through it, and I didn't have a problem following the story.
So, good letterist will use something like what they did in Star Wars when it comes to radio or something of that nature, of something mechanical, where it has those little spikes and indents within it.
Yeah, that was what I'm talking about.
And yeah, granted, we've reviewed some real turds, but I can't think of like out of those various flushers, if there was anything that should have had that audio.
I think Descenders did it too.
Descenders?
Yeah. But there wasn't as much of it. I think the reason I'm noticing it here is it was very prominent in this.
But it was a good story element.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, it was a really good part of like, so not to get into spoilers, but it's like, what we're talking about is there's a race that is the majority of the story. And during part of it, there's an announcer that basically goes in and kind of, like in other comic books, this would have been the little panel that says like, meanwhile at the Forces of Doom, Brainiac wants a decent pair of pants. And then, it cuts away to something else.
Well, he's never going to get a decent pair of pants. Have you seen that man's body?
But it was a good story element of like, kind of telling you what was happening without holding your hand or being so obviously like, this needs to be overly explained. Like, the people that are reading it are just complete twits.
It really brought they used it to bring story elements in too, which was neat. And I found that to be interesting. Like when they're talking about I'm gonna ruin the name. Aaron Lowe, the tall blue alien. There's gonna be a flip in this as we go. Who's supposed to be like the most what am I trying to say? One of the best racers in the galaxy. Well, they all are. That's part of the Void race. So, yes, but it might be a race, but it has Empire in it. It's got battles. It has Star Destroyers. It's got full docking bases. It has full fleets. Like, it's really cool the way they did this. The storylines on this, or the boxes. Excuse me. I don't know why I can't talk today.
Woody's not here.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
But yeah, like I said, this was going to be hit or miss. There's been a lot of Han Solo stories. If you're like me, you've read all the books. Yes, there's 200 and something of them, but I've read them all. And then now the new Disney Star Wars is destroying everything that I hold dear and that I love because, they're legends, not canon, and whatever else. So, you know.
Oh, no, and I totally get it. It's a mixed baggage because it's like that level of, like for me, reading some of the novels, reading some of the comic books, seeing some of the various cartoons, it's kind of like going, wait a minute, you went left and, introduced these characters and did these type of things. Now you're going right and you're doing a whole different kind of, shenanigans. And it's kind of like, there was some stories where it's like, I'm glad that they went different directions, but at the same time, it's kind of like, what are you doing? Are you really improving onto the mythos, the story? Or is this just because like somebody didn't want to continue their contract and, bow out because they think the property is dumb? Harrison Ford. And so it's kind of that level of, what do? Do you write a script that basically goes with the story, or do you modify it because, people pass away or people decide like they don't want to be a part of this anymore?
Well, I mean, yes and no. Yes and no. This is a good element of that. Here's something that's never been seen before. They came up with this very unique story between these movies. The art's amazing. The story itself is amazing. The whole thing is really awesome. And I mean, when it comes down to brass tacks, this is how you do it, Disney. You create something that doesn't destroy every mythos that's out there. You do something within the guidelines of... You don't have to read all 200 books. R.A. Salvatore, Bob Salvatore, was trying to figure out what one of his characters had in magic items. Jarlax, I think is his name. And Jarlax was one of those guys that like had magic items for everything if you read the books. He didn't have it written down, but he made a fake profile, went on the internet and said, hey, what items does Jarlax have? And like let the fans give him all the information.
And that's an interesting thought, because there's mixed baggage of creators. Like some creators would basically say, no, never do that, because you're basically going into fan demands and like changing part of your story and all your thoughts, and are you really the creator at that point? Or is it that kind of fact of like almost the pulp era age of things where I make something, you make something, and the story grows, and somebody else makes something and the story even evolves more into what it is. It becomes, this new life. There's a lot of times where it's like, you've seen some of the films and the stuff that Lucas has done on his own, mm-hmm. and people rag on it. But there's other properties that he does where it's like, he is allowing other creative people to enhance his vision, to enhance his capability. Yeah, I mean, granted, there's some stuff where it's like, dude, this is dumb. But
the trilogy which shall not be named, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. But there is that level of like some of the creativity of like Jim Henson production, allowing them to actually be creative and expand on his vision. Or otherwise, we would have had just this fat guy in a like, what was it? Woolly sweater vest that would have been Jabba.
Oh yeah, I remember that scene now.
And I mean, that's like my point is like, there's a level of allowing others to help you within your creativity, and it's like going back onto that cover.
Right.
Covers is like having somebody that is a cover artist generally specializes in making something that's like a poster, something very cinematic, something that's going to draw in the attention of like, oh my God, this is cool. Maybe the art inside isn't a real A-lister, but at the same time, it's like, I am going to take a look at that cover and be interested enough to go like, okay, maybe the art isn't that great, but the story is amazing.
No, I get you. Star Wars has always done this. If you look at who writes the books, it's like every author who ever wanted to write a Star Wars book. And the cool part about it is they've always taken care, well, not always, but most of them take care to not destroy the canon from the people that wrote before them. And it was really cool to read the books. And there's some stuff that's off. It's a timeline thing, but that's because, I'm going to make this my own. Like, I'm going to J.J. Abrams this. and destroy everything that the readers know. But, I mean, it is what it is when it comes down to it. This was neat because it didn't have that. And that's what I was saying. It just gave this new element to it in this void race. So it starts off with Han trying to leave the rebellion. And him and Chewie are trying to get smuggling jobs, but he keeps saying no. I thought it was interesting. And he knew something was up, and then somebody even said, hey, if you keep saying no, people are going to think you're not you anymore. And then, it's not a spoiler, but it was a really interesting part of the story. It turns out that his instincts are still good because every single one of those people that were trying to hire him for a job, all of them were hiring for the same reason, because they wanted to get him back to the rebellion. I thought that was cool. That shows a little aspect of Han Solo where he knows what's going on around him. He knows, he's got that instinct about him that he's always had in the movies, and it was good to see in the comic right off the bat like that.
Oh yeah, and it's kind of interesting of like, people have said, does he have force powers, or is it something where it's like he just has that great of a gut instinct?
Well, I think it begs. This has always begged the question too: is your gut instinct part of force powers? Like, are you force sensitive but you don't know it? Which makes it even better because all that time he was making fun of the hokey religions that. It was funny to me about that when you think about it. I've always thought that Han probably is force sensitive, doesn't know it, but always is just attuned to that. This person's lying to me, or this is a setup kind of thing, which makes for a good smuggler.
Yeah. Now, what about your major three? So
I did my major three. Those. We did the art, we did the story, and we did the lettering. The story, probably not so much, so I'll just let it out there. I love the story. The story was very Star Wars oriented. It was what I know and love about Star Wars. If you're an old Star Wars fan like I am, meaning 4, 5, and 6 is the only real trilogy, you're going to really enjoy this comic. And I'm not saying like if you enjoy 1, 2, and 3 or whatever they're doing now with it, they're not calling it that anymore, but this is Star Wars. This really kept to the true nature. The story was really the true nature of Star Wars, and I think it really did stay to the true nature of Han Solo. Which we came up with this because I was joking with Woody because he wanted to do comics that are in like movies and stuff that are happening, and I was like, we should do a Han Solo one. He's like, I don't think there is a Han Solo. And then they went on sale and he found it when he was buying it. I thought that was interesting.
My audio is getting distorted of like, I'm not sure what's going on.
Are you being carjacked?
There we go. Oh, nope, it's doing feedback.
Yeah, but are you being carjacked?
No, I'm not getting carjacked.
Okay.
So I'm at least one step better than Woody.
I love how it stayed true to Star Wars and Han Solo. That's what I was saying about the story. This was a great graphic novel. I may pick it up. That's how good it was. I would like to probably physically own this one. You're not hearing me really well, are you?
I'm getting everything that you're saying twice.
Cool.
Is my audio actually coming out clear?
You sound great.
That is quite interesting. I love this 21st century rubbish.
Well, let's just wrap it up then. What was your final thoughts?
My final thoughts, let's see. Art was fantastic. If you are a sci-fi lover or somebody that loves Star Wars, I think you'll definitely enjoy this. This felt like it was something that could have been a continuation within the films. That level of quality. And as the overall production, this was a great book.
Yeah, no, I'm going to have to agree with you 100%. I wish Woody was here to let him know that he's back on track with all this. Because it came out of nowhere. I loved it. I was so glad we got to read this one. I took my time reading it. I went back and read some more and then came back to the conclusion. But yeah, the art is fabulous. If you collect comic books for just the art, this is a great one to pick up. If you love Star Wars and you love the story, again, this one's captivating. It has some twists and turns. And it really is slightly surprising at the end. At the very, very end, it's not as surprising if you're used to Star Wars, but it really has some really good plot changes and some interesting stuff that gives light to who Han Solo was as a person. And again, you will not be disappointed in the lettering. I don't think anybody said something that wasn't intended for them to say, like we've seen in some recent books. But this is a definite good one. Alex, you have anything before we get out of here?
You said plug?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I have a new video on Comic Kyujin. So go check it out on YouTube.
How do you?
And plus, all the wonderful nerdy stuff that Woody does.
Yeah, how do you spell that?
So Qujin.
So there you go, Comic Kyujin. From all of us to all of you, first off, we hope Woody is okay. He was actually in a minor car accident today, but we're hoping that he's going to pull through and that everything's good. And so far, it sounds like it. It's just timing when it happened and the show happening. So we wish him a speedy recovery, and we hope that we can put his car back together somehow for him. But as always, I just wanted to say, keep it nerdy and live your dreams.
Thank you, everybody.
Oh, here we go.